the right person to discuss the topic cloud platform overview, because lot of our students are doing open elective in cloud. So cloud is important today because no need for any resources. Earlier we have to buy the resources, right? We have to purchase Word, MS Office, or the softwares like CAD, MATLAB, right? No, now no need to purchase. So cloud, everything is available in the cloud. Whenever we want to use it and then finish it. Then no need for storage devices for our cell phone or laptop or mobile. So very and another important thing, once it is stored in cloud, anytime we can be retrieved. So it is safely available. The thing is, the data should be safely available. That is our major concern. So otherwise hacking, otherwise means there is a problem, right? So Amazon, not only Amazon, AWS cloud is there, Google cloud is there. So many companies, they are having their own cloud, but many of them using Amazon cloud. So I am also very much eager to hear about Amazon cloud platform. So now invite our chief guest to to enlighten us in the area of Amazon cloud platform. So welcome Tirupati Rajan.
Thank you, Professor. Thanks for introducing me. Good evening, everyone. For me, it's a good morning. It's a morning 6:39 a.m. For me. I'm very glad to share my knowledge with you all. Hope you enjoy this session. This is just the overview. In depth, we will do it on another day. But this is like a high-level overview on the Amazon. And you may already know certain things, but I want to refresh before we move into the Amazon cloud. Let's start with the introduction. Let me share my screen. Am I audible, or do I need to increase the volume? Please let me know.
This is enough, sir. This is audible.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
enough.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Your
Yes, sir.
screen is visible, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the today's session. We'll discuss about the data centers, on-demand resources, AWS, cloud computing stack, and cloud service model, and then we'll do the demo, and then we'll discuss about the AWS certifications. Most of you already know about what's the cloud computing, what it's for, but I will explain a little bit on my term so that it will be easy to carry over throughout the session. So in a typical computer center, you may already see that or worked on the computer centers. So there will be a lot of desktops, and then people sit in that, and you have all the monitors, and then you need to have a AC building has to be there, and air conditioning, and then the whole infrastructure, and then maintenance, and all those things are all going to be there. So this is like, computer center. In your college also, I think you will have a separate lab for first year, or you may share the second year, third year. I'm not sure how it is splitted there, but at least you'll have some different variety of data centers or computer centers for your lab work. Also, think about that for your students. Maybe you have 100 or 200 students. So if everybody has to work on that, you need to buy like 200 machines. And then also, so first year maybe using C or Java. You don't need a high-end machine, but when it's for fourth year, they may need a high-end machine. So now you have to buy the high-end machine. It may be like 12 GB or 8 GB, or and then you may need to install all the software in that machine. And then you have to maintain that machine and make sure that all the operating systems are all up to date and upgrading. Everything is going to be by your technician will take care of that behind the scene, but it's a lot of work on that. And sometime when you loaded more than one software in that, you may have a conflict because some of them may work by Java 1.8 or some of the software will work only for 1.6 or 1.5. That time you may need to switch back and then you have to reconfigure. It's a lot of things are all there. And then think about the big corporates. So individual data centers, each company is going to have a data center, and then that has to be maintained by individual technicians, and then provisioning and authentication, authorization. So each company has to do by themselves. So that's most cost goes into that initial setup. So these are all the typical computer centers that and the data centers where we see that one, or that's where we experienced it. And see about the cost. I'm not sure in a college itself how much money is spent on building the lab and then machines and all those things, and that increased the cost of the students' fees and all those things. So to overcome that, how we can solve this issue? Also, one other thing is if you have to go to, if you have to work on a high-end machine, now you need to go to the lab and work on it. I'm not sure whether you have a work from home option. Do you have a work from home option? Kind of like you can connect a computer lab, computer from whatever's in their lab. Can they connect to connect from home? Is it possible? Like a student, is that students can connect, this is for a question for Suresh Babu sir or somebody else. Is that students can connect their computer lab machine from home? Hello?
No, sir. Currently, that option is not there in our college, sir.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So why am I saying is like if I have to give some workshop or training on that, I was looking for some 8 GB machine, and then I found out that each student was having their own configuration in the laptop, so I couldn't train them, or a workshop couldn't be possible. So if they are able to access their computer lab machines, that will be awesome. But that's they can add a VPN into their system, and through the VPN they can connect from home also. So these machines can be accessed from home by adding some VPN to that network. That's the one thing. But again, so you will all see that if, let's think about that, if they're able to access these machines from home, then you can still continue your education from home, and also you can do the exams, everything you can do it from home in these pandemic situations. But anyway, another thing, think about that. Let's assume that I'm going to start a new company. So I have to, I'm going to hire 20 developers, and then I'm going to use the n number of softwares, and then I'm needs to have office space, and then hosting solutions and testing team and performance testing. So to start a company, first of all, I need to find out where I can buy these computers and where I keep this. So most of my investments will go into that before even I see the revenue. So that's the highest investment that I have to do it. So that's a problem. Also, let's say middle of the night, usually, you know, I kind of work on sometime middle of the night, I get a logic and then I just start defining the solution, and then I start even sometime coding in the middle of the night, because you don't know when your logic is going to strike in your mind. So this idea can come anytime. So at that time, let's think about that. Hey, I need like a 5 machines to run the system to test whether my idea is going to work. Now, in the middle of the night, I cannot go and get all the system, and then setting up that system is going to take like 10 days or 20 days, or I don't know when. So my idea cannot be implemented immediately. Let's say you are all fourth year student and you have IoT devices, and then you want to connect that to the system and monitor that IoT devices. And you need to buy a special computer and then connecting to that. This is all going to take months, and then it's going to cost a lot. So how to overcome on this? So you all know about the on-demand resources that we do it in a day-to-day life. When I was a kid, I think Suresh Babu sir may know about that. Like, I don't think now anywhere in Virudhunagar it's there or not. I used to rent a bicycle when I was maybe 10 years old. So we rented per hour, may pay like 1 rupee or something like that. I don't remember exactly how much we paid. So these are all there in years and years of years ago. These rental options are all there. And the car rental, you all know right now, so many car rentals are there. You use it and then pay for the per usage. These are all called pay per usage, taxi, and then your internet centers are all there. So if you don't have a computer, you cannot able to buy like 30,000 rupees or 40,000 rupees. You can go to the computer center and use it, and then pay per hour. So this is the same concept that used. How we can share these resources or use these resources and then pay only when you use it. And then in the nowadays, most of you, I hope, like, you know, like students, all you'll have some laptops. Some basic laptops is enough, or whatever you have 2 GB or 3 GB, 4 GB, that's enough. So most of the students will have it. I assume that. Otherwise, I mean, as a computer students or ECE, you should have something in a basic model also. So how about these? I can rent the CPU, RAM, and storage, software, database, anything on the computer related thing. Rent it, or not rent, I'll pay per use. Also access these resources through the using your basic laptop from anywhere in the world. Just you need internet, that's it. And then you can set up that automatically stop when you don't need it and automatically start when you need it, and then pay only when you need it, pay per usage. Also think about the huge data centers. You don't need to have any data centers. All you need is your laptop, and sit in the park or sit in a restaurant or sit in somewhere and connect to that desktop or connect to the server and connect to any development tools, and then start developing it and deploying it and executing everything in the internet, which you don't even know where the data center is, or it doesn't matter. All you need is log in and then connect and develop, deploy. How is that going to? Isn't that wonderful? So let's take an example of like a startup company. If I started the company, then when I'm hiring it, I will ask whether you have a laptop, or I can just buy a laptop for these new developers, like basic end. You can buy it for like 10,000 rupees or something like that. And then all I need to do is set up a desktop in the cloud, and then all they need to do is connect to their through the laptop, they will connect to that a company desktop. So with the cloud platform, what I can do is I can create an account called my company name, and then through that root account, I can grant access to any number of users, and they will directly connect to that servers. So for example, you in your college, I don't know how many students are there total. So let's say 200. So what you can do is you can create one account, a root account. They call it as a root account, Kamaraj or KCT and maybe ECE, whatever your department, create a one root account. Or you can have a one root account for college, and then under that you can create a sub account for each department, and then each department can have a number of students access created. In that scenario, all you can do that is in the classroom itself, if you bring their laptop, and from the classroom itself you can connect to that machine and do your lab, and you don't need any of your lab facilities at all. It's completely, you can sit in your lab and you don't need air conditioner, or just sit in that under the tree, and you can start programming it. Mostly, I like to sit under a tree when I'm doing the programming, because it's more convenient and more energetic, and not sitting in the room and no breeze inside that. So you can all do that just using this cloud. Isn't that interesting? Or some people will, like it to have it in AC. It depends on, if you want to have AC, that's fine. So, but the concept is like, you don't need to have that much data center at all in your college. And again, these are all like softwares, whatever you need it, those are all also pay per usage. And let's say if you need to add IBM softwares, it's very expensive. And then through the Amazon, you can buy this software. In our company and in our state system also, that's what we are using, Amazon Cloud. Everything is usage based, and we built the entire the infrastructure in 2 weeks, which is like pretty much collecting COVID-19 data. And also, you won't believe it, we set up the call center for the COVID-19. I worked in a state projects, so we set up the call center for the COVID-19 to our North Carolina state there in 4 hours. So anybody can, anything related to the COVID-19, the whole call center infrastructure is built in the cloud within like 4 hours, so that they can connect to, we brought like, maybe 100 and 200 different users, the call center analyst, and then they connect to this system and how to route the calls. All those things are set up. I'm not kidding, it's 4 hours, because that at the state level, these are all very important, and people are panicking, and you need to answer their calls quickly. So these are all like, how to solve all these things using a cloud computing. So 3 things that you need to understand that in the cloud computing stack, or cloud computing world. I think some of you already know about that, IaaS and PaaS and SaaS. So what are these things? These are 3 important things. So currently in our company, we use all these 3. In some projects, we use just the IaaS. Let's see what this is. So let's start from the bottom up. Infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure services is just to rent the computer, CPU, storage, and other capacities. So they don't provide any services as maintaining that server, the patches, or installing the software, or any of those things. They provide the infrastructure. All you can do is you can access the server, like CPU usage, and then you can install any software, whatever you wanted, you install by yourself, and then develop it, and then you deploy it by yourself. So that's what called infrastructure as a service. So basically, it's like same thing in a lab. They are providing you a computer, and then the softwares, and then you are using it as a developing, and then running the programs, and then seeing the results. So it's like infrastructure. So you don't need to buy any computer or anything, and it will be all provided. So these data centers all can be built anywhere in the world. All you need is through the internet, you can access it. Then next one is the platform. This is for mostly platform as a service in a sense. So let's say you want some Windows instances, or you want like Linux instances. So all those things are all additional work that you need to do by in the infrastructure as a service. You have to hire the administrators. Like you are buying the Oracle, and you install the Oracle database server, and you need to have a DBA. But in a platform as a service, those are all like everything is provided by the Amazon will provide it, or Microsoft Azure will provide it. All you need it is they will apply the patches, like the software upgrade, the patches, the security patches. Microsoft usually release every Tuesday the patches. So you have to be make sure that those are all upgraded every week. So they maintain for you. They will take care of it, administrator, and everything is pretty much they give it. So what's the difference between software as a service? Software as a service is pretty much is combined of infrastructure, platform, everything they take care of it. Apart from that, they will also provide you the software, and all you need to do is use that software. So the example is Microsoft Office 365. So what that means is like you don't need to install the Office products, Excel or Microsoft Access or anything that you wanted. Those are all maintained by Microsoft itself. So you don't need to worry about. So for example, right now the Word document, if you have to type the word, or you have to use the Word or Excel spreadsheet or any Microsoft things, it has to be installed into each and every laptop. And then when any upgrade comes in, you have to upgrade by yourself. But with the software as a service, everything is in cloud internet. All you need to do is log into that service, and then start using that Word document. So you don't need to install the Word or any of the software in your laptop. Also, like Google Drive, those are like a software service. All you need is upload it, and then it will automatically you can share that also. So those are all like software as a service. Let's see the cloud service models. I'll quickly go through this. So the difference is this is on-premise, which is like you buy everything, you maintain everything, you deploy it, everything is managed by you, and it's going to cost you a lot because you need to set up your environment, networking, storage, servers, anything that you have to do it. That's called on-premise, which is what whatever that you are having right now is on-premise. Your lab, like the student lab and all, those are all on-premise. IaaS is infrastructure. What that means is all these servers are all there. Storage is given, networking is given, everything is given, but the software runtimes and everything that you manage it. Operating system, you manage it. Whatever that you want to add it, you manage it. So that's the IaaS. And then PaaS is the platform as a service. So they provide all these runtimes, operating systems, and everything, and then you have to just start writing the applications, developing that, and then data loading and everything is on your side. And software as a service, which is they provide everything. All you need to do is just log in and you just use it. So let's see the simple model of chicken biryani. I want to eat chicken biryani. Okay, so one option is I have to go and buy the chicken, and I have to buy all these masalas needed, and I need to have some kitchen, so I have to make sure that I have the kitchen available, and then I'll cook by myself. And chicken biryani is good. I don't know how it is going to taste, but I just eat whatever I cook it. That's the problem with the on-premises. But sometimes my cooking will be good, sometimes I cannot. IaaS is like, somebody having a kitchen, but all I use is bringing the chicken and masala, and then I'll go and cook it there. That's what it is. So really, the kitchen is all provided. And then third one is everything is provided, like chicken is there, masala is there, everything is there, but I have to go and cook it. Everything is in that system. I mean, sorry, everything is in the available. All I just walk and then go and cook it. And then software as a service, simple thing. I just call Dharma Kadai and then order the chicken biryani and then home delivered. I just eat it. So these are the differences. But I tell you that I don't eat any meat. I don't like chicken or meat. I'm a vegetarian. I just gave that example. And I don't know how to cook chicken too. Okay, so these are the top cloud computing providers. This is like, 2019 statistics. Amazon Web Services, is it called AWS, which is really Amazon Cloud. 33% of the community is using the Amazon. So that's in the topmost used cloud platform. In US also pretty much the same, highest usage, and there are a lot of advantages to that. I will go through that. And then Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Salesforce, Oracle Cloud. It used to be Oracle Cloud in the top, but now not that many people using it. I think Oracle Cloud and Tencent Cloud, some of them may not live for longer. So for today's topic, that's why I picked up the Amazon Web Services, and we are also using that. So let's go through this. Amazon Cloud Platform, its nickname is AWS, but it's really Amazon Cloud Platform. They call it as a web services. Initially, they started for the web services only, and then later they added a lot of additional functionalities to this. So they provide servers, networking, storage, remote computing, mobile, email, security, mobile development. Everything is there available. All you need to do is either you choose the IaaS or PaaS or SaaS, whatever that you wanted, you pick it. So most of the people pick the SaaS. That's easy, just order and eat. So that's kind of things. But depends on the developments. In our side, what we are using is PaaS, Platform as a Service. So Amazon is maintaining our data center, or I should not call it as a data center. It's like an environment, cloud platform. There is only Amazon can call it as a data center there. because all I'm is a tenant or I just using portion of it. These are all the Amazon products. Huge thing, huge. We will go through this one at a time, and then and I will show you and explain to you all those things. Main thing I want to do that is AR and VR. I don't know whether you all know about AR, VR. One is the augmented reality and then virtual reality. Augmented reality is very famous right now, and all mostly in the civil engineering. Not only civil engineering, the other departments also. So, for example, if you are building your corporate office, so it's going to be like a 20 floor. Now, using AR, you can design the system, and then virtually you can go through each floor, and then each door you can open and see how it is going to look like. So that's like augmented reality, and then add, virtual realities involved. And then Internet of Things. You have IoT devices, connect this, and then you can monitor that. So, for example, any goods, vehicles, services, for example, we can connect some of the goods delivery. We can add the IoT devices to that, and then you can monitor that where it is. And for example, if you want to find out whether the goods are the delivery and where it is right now, whether it's sold, and even if it is once it's sold, then that information will be collected. So there are so many things you can monitor. And then so if you want to the lorry or a van that you want to monitor it, you can monitor that also. So there are so many. You don't need to build anything for this. It's all plug and play. All you need to enter is the IoT device ID. Then you can program it and then monitor and do whatever you want it. Then machine learning, artificial intelligence, and machine learning programming is all already there. And then robotics. These are all like latest things. And then satellite, you can connect to the satellite. You don't need to write like fancy programming for that. You can connect to the satellite and monitor the any tsunamis coming, or what's the weather is going to be, or is going to connect a lot of information to this. Game, if you want to develop a game, all you need is just connect to that system and then develop it, and you don't need to buy any new software and pay. If you are using only, if you are developing for only 2 hours and then use it, pay it for only 2 hours. That's it. These are the pricing model: pay as you go and save when you reserve, and pay less when you're using more. So we are going with this pay less but you're using more, because we usually use more, like like COVID-19, it's going to be always on to collect these informations. So we always use that. So they have a cost model defined. Okay, if I'm going to use 24/7, so you need to pay like per hour. So we kind of buy a bulk. And then there's a reserve is like, I want to use only weekdays, I will reserve this, and weekend I don't need it. Then you can reserve that system. Pay as you go, that, like whenever you use it. And per day, if I use only 1 hour, so for us, it's like, only 10 cents, which is in Indian, I can say 10 paise. But here it's a dollar 10 cents. So in, I don't know, maybe in Indian rupees, it comes like 70 paise or something like that, 75 paise or something like that. But some of them are like 3 rupees per hour. So it depends on your usage. Let's go and see the pricing models and how we can connect to this. Okay. So can you see my screen? the screen? I moved from one screen to another screen. Can you see
Yes,
my
sir.
screen?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
So if you want to connect, create account, anybody can connect to this account now. Actually, they are providing now free offer. So this one I registered for a free offer right now for this demo. aws.amazon.com. Just go there. So here you can register by yourself. Anybody can go and register. It's a free only. Since I already connected, so that's why it's all already went to that. See, this is my account, but let's see how you can connect to this. So you can create a new AWS account. All you need is enter your email ID, passwords, account name, you give it. So let me see this. So I continue with. Oops, my ID is already used it. Okay. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I think I used all my email ID. I don't have anything new. Yeah, so if you have any email ID, just try that. You will automatically sign into that. So if you see this 12 months free tier access, you can anytime you can use it. So you can try by yourself with your email ID. So let's see this. I will connect to my the root user. I already created the root user. I connect to this. Okay. So this is what you will see the Amazon management consoles. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Okay. So in this, you can see workspaces, right? So let's say for a college, I want to set up 50 desktop. So all I can do is get started now. So these are all like a Windows workspaces, and it's a quick setup is launch, and then I have to pick up which Windows you want it. So also you want a Windows with Office or without Office. So with Office, actually, you have to pay, right now you have to pay, but I'll pick a Windows 10. So, and if you want a Linux, and you can get the Linux also. And this is a free, up to 50 free workspaces you can get it. So I can define up to 50 different users. And also I can define a user name also. And I can add any number of users to that system, and it will add, and all I need to do is click launch the workspace. And usually this will take like 20 minutes, but for the server will take only a couple of minutes. So all I need to do is add like, if you have 100 students, add this and launch the workspace. Boom, your desktop is ready. Right now I'm not launching it because it will take some time. And one thing I need to show that is the regions. Amazons are all in multiple places, regions. Right now, I'm in the East Coast, so I'm using the Northern Virginia. If I am in California, then I choose this one. Northern California, and then Oregon and Ohio. And then in India, there is only one data center, the Mumbai. So since I'm in US, I'm choosing this. But if you are in Mumbai, I mean in India, you can choose Mumbai also. I mean you can choose Northern Virginia also. Depends on that. You pay a little more on that. If you are not on mute, can you please mute, please? So these are all the data centers in throughout the world. So you can pick whatever the data center you wanted. So there the server will be spent. Okay. So this is the workspace like desktop, and in 20 minutes, and also you can choose like 2 vCPU or 4 GB RAM. This is like a dual core, something like that, and you can add 4 CPU or 8 CPU, 15 GB. I mean, you want like a 16 CPU and 122 GB. You pick whatever you wanted. I mean, the price will go up when you pick any one of these, and they have variety of it. Just to pick it, that's it. And then they'll give you a IP address. All you need to do is, have you all worked with the remote desktop connection? So this is in your Windows, you already have that remote desktop connections. All you need to do is enter the IP address and then click connect. It will give you the user ID and password, and you are done. So you can connect to that from your using any laptop. All you need is internet, and then using this remote desktop connection, you can connect to the server. And in fact, actually, you can connect to any server in my whatever is in the Northern Virginia data center. Also, you can connect to that. So this remote desktop connection is to connect to the Windows. And then I'm not sure whether you're all having Linux operating system. Have you guys used Linux for in your lab? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We are using, sir. We are using.
Okay. So you can use PuTTY. Using PuTTY also, you can connect to this system. This is for the Linux. SSH, using that SSH protocol, you can connect to the Linux instances. So this is the key. Using the remote desktop, which is in your Windows, any home edition also, you will have a remote desktop connections. And then PuTTY, you have to download it, and then you can connect to the Linux instances. That's simple. Okay, now let's spin some Windows Server and see how that is working. So right now I don't have any instances here. So I want to get some, I want to build like Windows server, like say free tier Windows. Okay, so this is a free tier eligible 64-bit and Windows 2019. So those are all the Windows servers. Servers are mostly used for your application deployments. So you can use it for your web deployment or any of those things. And then if you want a SQL server along with the Windows server, you can choose that also. So let's do this first. Windows Server 2018 base. It's a 64-bit. So right now, if you see this, these are virtual CPUs. Really, no, they have a multiple CPUs available, huge CPUs available, but these are all shared. And you may, the distributed processing, if you have that subject, you'll study about that. And then you have like parallel processing. So those are all like, concept-wise, this is used on the distributing the workloads. So I'm going to choose the free tier eligible. I think we have 750 hours per month. I can use it free. If you are over that 750 hours, then you have to pay per hour, which is like, I think it's a 7 or 5 rupees per hour. So I'll choose this. And number of instances, if I want to put 100, all you do is just put 100. It will spin the 100 server in no time. And then network. So when you create the account, it will create a VPC. So it's called virtual IPs they will create it. It's kind of like a networks. So you can also create your own VPC. It's a virtual private cloud. Only it's this within this network, nobody else can access whatever's inside this. Only you can access it. So for my company, like Mahadata Solution, this is my VPC. And if I want to add additional VPC, I can create that also. And then subnet is mostly you can choose which data center I want to create. So there are so many additional subnets. If you are not speaking, could you please go on mute? Hello? Okay. East 1A, East 1D, East 1C, these are all different data centers. So as I said, like, it goes to Virginia or Ohio or whatever the data center you want, you can choose that. So I can choose East 1A. That is like a 4091, or it will wherever it's available, and it will choose it. And if I want to reserve this for n number of days, I can reserve it. Otherwise, it's going to stay as it is. These are all like, different options that you will choose it. And then metadata accessible, yes. Metadata means inside that server, can I access any of the Amazon level data, so that when I programming it, it will get the data, and then depends on that, you can program that too. So these are all like, instances. Storage. Now next, I want to add storage. What is your hard disk that you wanted? 30 GB, or if you want 1 terabytes or whatever is that you want it, you do that. And SSD. I prefer SSD, and this is the fastest. I don't know whether in your laptop, if you have SSD, and this Windows will fly. Otherwise, it's going to chuck. Oh, it takes time to load anything. But if you have a SSD hard disk in your laptop, it's like a 50 times faster. You just click the button and it loads like no time. And then next is add tag. This is very important. You can say like for what this server is creating. I would say Amaraj College Windows Server, something like that. And you can add a tag also. You can say department. Let's see. And then who is owner? So like that, you can define the tag so that when you search for that, you can easily add that. And then next is the security group. This is the one you need to be careful on that. So right now, RDP 3389. What is that RDP 3389? So the one I showed you, do you remember this RDP, the remote desktop connections? So this remote desktop connection is connected through the port 3389. That's the default port. So this server has to open that port. Then only I can connect to that system. Otherwise, it won't work. Now, custom. Here I am leaving it as like a 0.0.0.0. That means anywhere from the world I can access this system. Once I spin this system, anywhere in the world I can access it. But this is very dangerous. That means like, other people also can access it. So let's say if your college has a one set of VPN defined, then you can just give access to that particular VPN IP, or in a NATed IP. You may have a NATed IP on your system. You have a internet service providers. So you can just provide so that anyone connected from your college can only access this machine. So here in our side, we will put it in on our work environment range. So state level, we can connect to that system using VPN. So I'm going to leave it 00. It gives warning because it's a security. But right now I will leave it there and then review and launch. So it says the security launch is open to the world. That means, but still they need to know the keys and also user ID and passwords. Okay, let me launch. Okay, I already created the key pair. So I need to create a private keys. So it creates the, I keep that key, and then without this key, for the time being, like, I created the key pair already, and I acknowledge it and launch this. Okay, it's launching. Here we go. So the server is launching. While it's launching, it should not take more than 2-3 minutes. While it's launching, we'll go and see the different products on this. So let's see these products. AR, VR, they have a product called Amazon Sumerian, so you can use that. And then there's a one I want to talk about that. So mobile apps, if you want to define, create any mobile apps, it's very easy actually. Amplify, just go there and get started free, and then it will ask different questions, and then it will connect to the repository, and you can develop the apps using JavaScript or React or Angular. Anything you want this, you just use this Amplify docs and create that. It's very simple. You can learn it quickly. Some free tiers are also available. So you can deploy it, and then you can easily, immediately see the results also on this. Any mobile devices, all those are all already pre-built, and libraries and everything is there. So you don't need to install any of those things. So more and more you see it, like you love it. You can do whatever you wanted by this. Let's see the IoT things. See, connect devices to the cloud, any IoT devices that you can do it, and IoT analytics. What right now we are doing is the patient's monitoring and all. We are connecting to the oxygen levels, whatever the hospitals, the patients are on the COVID-19 patients, that will be monitored through that device, and then it's sent it to this Amazon, and we monitor that what are the time period or how many patients are their oxygen levels are there, when it's increasing, when it's lowering it, and send the alerts. So just by getting that one data, man, you can do a lot of stuff. I'm not kidding. This is breakthrough technologies on this. I mean, you can build this system in no time also. All you need is IoT device and connect to that. From there, you just consume the data and draw the graphs, and everything is simple. This is mostly on the graph levels. It's so many. If you look through that, then this is like a one click. So when IoT device sends some signals or send the data, and depends on that, we can trigger something else also. Let's say if patient oxygen level goes down like 95%, then immediately inform the nurse or something like that. You can define all those things here. Let's see whether it's pinned or not. Here you go, boom. So the system is already there, server is there, college Windows server. And right now the CPU is a very small CPU that I put it there, but you can add more also. So this is a T2 micro. How to connect it? You will see two IPs. Can you see the screen? If you're not able to see the screen, please someone tell me that, because I don't know whether you are all seeing it or not. So that will be good.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay, cool. So you have private IPs and public IPs. So using the public IP only, you can connect to the switch. So now how do I? Now I have to get the password. To get the password, so go to this actions. But I'm going to show the password. Don't use this password. But anyway, I will delete it after this instance is there. So Windows password, and here is where it needs. So nobody can just get the password, and I have the key. So I have to use the key. So this is the key. Without the key, I cannot get the password. So, okay, here is my password. If somebody can remember this password, you can remember that. But anyway, this is the password. Okay, so now I'm going to connect to this server. How I am going to connect it? This is my public IP, 54.227.129.111. So I have to use the user ID administrator, and then this is my huge password. Here you go, my Windows server is there. See, my Windows server is already there. So all I can do is start using this server. And any setup that you need to do it, you can do that also. It's coming up, setup thing. And you can add multiple users to this also. Now the server is there and anybody can use it. So like this, when I set up this, how many instances asked? I put 1. So if I put 100, by this time you will see 100 instances running in this, and you can start using it. And this is the EC2 instances. And there are storage, like if you want the storage, mostly S3 bucket is called storage. So I created one bucket called Mahadata here, and I can create another bucket called Kamaraj College, and it asks, they call it as a bucket. In that case, whatever I'm giving access there, so you can upload all the files. So for example, right now, I don't know how you are doing the backup, your college related data and all those things. So you put it in this bucket, everything is saved, and anytime it's all recoverable. And another advantage is if you keep the versions, if some of the documents, if you want to keep the version, this S3 bucket will keep it for you. So you don't need to take a copy and then name it as like version 1 and then take a copy version 2. When you click the file, it will automatically take the copy for you, and then you can go to any number of versions by clicking it. I'm saying copy the settings like Mahadata. So here also I can use that. So you can define, are you allowing block all public access, means not everybody can access this, but if I uncheck it, so this bucket can be accessed anywhere in the world, anybody can access it. In some time it may be useful, I know if somebody can upload the file and they cannot delete it, or just to upload the file, so you can give access to that. So for example, in this scenario, for the student scenario, they can submit all their thesis or project work or homework, whatever they want to submit it, they just submit it to this. So everything is stay in one place and professor can go and see that through this bucket. So it can be shared and it can be accessed from home, anywhere you can access it. It doesn't need to go to the lab. It's all centralized system, and you can give the security also for this. Okay, some of these things only department staff can see it. So you can share the document throughout the college. So you can see what all the enables, and then when I click the button, create bucket, your bucket will be created. And here I can put anything. If I want to upload some file, just upload it, add a file, choose any of the file, and then store it. That's it. And then it also keeps you whom I have to grant access, who all can see my files. That also I can do while uploading the file also. So this is called Amazon S3 storage bucket. It's very, very cheap. Okay. Now RDS. RDS is a database. So now, for example, Oracle. I don't know what all the database system you are studying. Oracle, do you have Oracle?
Again, computer students are studying Oracle.
Oh, so you don't have any database?
Interested students of EC may study it.
Oh, so do they have any database?
Um,
Okay.
yes.
I think Java they studied and JTBC concept they studied. So just they are having awareness about the database.
Okay, okay. So let's say if you want to create any database, so you can just click this button, create database, and then choose any one of this, Oracle or Amazon Aurora, MySQL, PostgreSQL, any of those things. So let's say Oracle, which edition you want, Enterprise Edition or whatever the latest version you can buy it. And it's a production or test environment, and then you can define a database, and then admin password. You can create the auto-generate password, and then what's the size of the database? Are you going to store? You can choose how many CPU you want it. If you want 64 CPU or 96 CPU, I mean, you choose whatever you want it. Okay, so it's saying monthly cost is $251. So this is a monthly usage of because I choose whatever that bigger size it's a 4 vCPU, and then if I go for 96 vCPU, its cost is going to be $5,000 per month. This is a huge. I mean, you can run the whole US data into that size. All you need to do is just create. So this is called a software as a service. So what that means is they maintain everything. Database, they maintain it. They take a backup every 4 hours, and also you can restore this in immediately. Another thing is you can also have a multi-AZ. They call it a multi-AZ. What that means is, so I have let's assume that can you see this? Okay, so multi-AZ means it's like your primary data center is in Chennai. Let's say Amazon has a data center in Chennai, and then they have a data center in Delhi. Let's assume that right now they have it only in Mumbai, but let's assume that they have it in Chennai and they have it in Delhi. So what you can do is you can define a primary region and secondary region for the database. So what that means is whenever the data is inserted into this Chennai region, it will also replicate in Delhi too. So why do we keep like this? So let's say in Chennai, you can get tsunami and you can get like flooding, and let's say completely this Amazon data center is went down to the water. So in that scenario, you can immediately switch over to the Delhi region. So it will immediately, so no interruption, it will automatically switch over there, and then you start accessing the data. So that's where like they call it as a multi-zone applications. So we always have it like, it's a redundant, we call it as a redundant or disaster recovery. So you'll have everything on safely stored in multiple regions. That's what it's called. I think we have I have a lot to show, but I think we are running out of time. One other thing I want to show that is, did I show this? Oh, next one is the billing. How do I manage this billing? So here it shows you your cost usage. Right now I have a free tier, but you can see all the cost or billing by services. You can also set the range of budget. Hey, I should not reach more than 10,000 rupees per month. So you can allocate the budget, and then you can set the alert. So when you reach certain limit, it will also alert you. So these are all budget managements, and then you can create a lot of reports from this. And then Last one is a certification. There are so many AWS certifications available. You can study by yourself, and so many YouTube videos available. And if you go to that Amazon site, you can see certification site on this. So many information available on the certification. So you can start with your if you want to be a developer, you can go with this development operations and developer certificates. And you want to be a cloud practitioner, you can do this. And then this is mostly architect. How do you architect the system? That's mostly for the architect. And this is like a multiple, like you want to be a machine learning specialty, and then database or data analytics, security, advanced networking, any of those things you can choose it. Because right now, I think most of the corporates are all moving towards the Amazons. I showed you, that's why I showed you this percentage. They're expecting in another 5 years is going to be double. So the lot of opportunities are available. So if you are certified, you have a lot of opportunities for that. So I have a lot to show, but it's already 7:50. I hear that like you want to have 20 minutes for questions. So you can also send me any questions to gdrajan14@gmail.com, or if you have any questions now, go ahead and ask it. Otherwise, I can still continue to show some other features too. So go ahead and ask your questions. I don't know what's the procedure, Suresh, for the questions. Yes, everybody's on mute, I believe so.
Yes, sir. The participants can unmute and ask the queries if they have.
Okay.
They can.
Ramesh sir, it is possible participants can unmute and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ask any question.
Participant-
Okay.
Yes, sir. Participants, if you have any specific queries, you can unmute and ask the questions so that the guest will answer your queries. Sir, I have a question that if we want to incorporate remote desktop systems in educational institutions, what should be the procedure, sir? And what will be the approximate cost if we are going to implement remote kind of systems in the educational institution so that the students will work from their home itself?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I'm also, the future is like that. So the cost wise, it's a negotiation only. So your Mumbai office will have that. So I'm thinking maybe if you are buying bulk, like, I don't know how many students in your office, if in your college, maybe 300 or more than that. I don't know. If you have
College is
1,000
having
users, then you
2,800
can,
students are there.
how many?
2,800 students are there currently
Wow.
studying.
Right. How many of them may need a computer lab, or how many of them they need it? I think almost everybody needs it.
Everybody. Yes.
Everybody needs that one.
Everybody
Yeah.
needs computer.
So it's a pretty good negotiation you can do. You can negotiate it to per hour 3 rupees, or you can negotiate it like, reserved instances. So in that scenario, you can save a lot. And then when you buy more, you'll be very amazed the prices what they are going to give. So there are like institutional wise now also they are introducing some new rates which may not be published yet. So if you because let me give you an example. For us in our state, we are saving almost 80% of the money by having a data center and including all this cost and everything. Again, the software also available already. So when I see this one, there is called like the product searches. So I can find for already available AMIs, so that I can search for any softwares, whatever it's available. So for example, I want to find out some Connect. So Amazon Connect. So this is like I was telling about the call centers. So this is like a very simple steps. All you need is some URL. You define it. Automatically, it creates the like a telephony option, admin and shared data storage. Everything is already there. So anything, the whole like for admission related thing. So if you want to add a call center, so many people are having inquiries, and you can add it. And then if you want to pay the fees and everything, you can define, set up that all the softwares and everything is available. So you can easily negotiate that. So I would say like 80% cost savings will be there. The biggest advantage is you can run the other than the chemistry lab or mechanical lab and rest of the things you can run from home. I mean, in computer science and all, completely you can run from home. I mean, in this pandemic, if it is needed. And another advantage is if the students wants it, and I mean, if they want to do that extra hours, and you can also bill under them too. So if they use additional hours they need it, so it can be calculated from their usage too. So they will pay. I mean, you can bill it from them if they want to use additional prices, because this is like you don't need to charge like every student's 10,000 rupees, something like that. You don't need to. So pay per usage. It all depends on the students uses more, then you pay more for that. Something like that. I mean, there's a lot of things you can think about that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any
Yes,
other
we
questions?
got lot of information. Good.
Yeah. Any other questions like that? I'm more than happy to answer that. Yeah, the whole, think about the whole like your administrative work and the lab facilities and maintaining. I don't know how much your air conditioner cost is going to be, and then maintaining the power. I don't know how much you have to pay, because these desktops like take a lot of consume a lot of energy. So it's a huge savings. And now biggest advantage is anybody can access anything from the home. I mean, and the computer related things. And you have any IoT kind of subjects?
Yes, Tirupati Rajan, embedded system is there. But students
Yeah.
are doing projects in IoT.
Yeah, so IoT you can do that in,
Because they studied
yeah.
cloud also.
Yeah, so you can add that anytime. So do you have any right now cloud accounts?
No, Tirupati Rajan. They are using free cloud only.
Which one?
Like ThinkSpeak,
ThinkSpeak.
like that. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. There are some cheaper, like for immediate uses and all. There is a DigitalOcean is also there. You can use DigitalOcean too. But those are like very small, like you want to like student level that you want to do it, you can do that too.
Okay.
With Amazon, like they have variety of services. I said like workspaces like a desktop. You can create a desktop in no time. And then servers, you can spin it anytime. And also you can set like automatically, okay, turn on the system for first year only. You have already a schedule, right? So first year will have a lab from Monday to Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock. So you set that one, then it will automatically stop and start that system at 2 o'clock. And it will stop once that lab time is over, so that you are not consuming the CPUs. So in this scenario, so let's say EC2 instance. Right now, when it shows like it is running, that means my charge is there. So all I can do is go on instant state as stop. Then it won't charge me. Until this is stopped, then it won't charge it. So it is now stopping that. Yeah, it will take some time and it stop. And then, yeah, it's already stopped. So since the demo is over, and I will go and terminate it. So when I don't need it, I just terminate it, so it's gone. So it won't show it after some time. Now it won't be any charge for this. But there's a lot of automation that you can define when to start and when to stop it. So all kind of automation that you can do it. And then monitoring also you can attach it. Okay, any other questions before we close it?
ரமேஷ் சார் அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு கேட்கலாமா ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் சொல்லிருங்க.
Yes, sir. Students, if you have any specific questions or queries, you can unmute and you can ask.
And faculty members also ask.
Good morning.
Faculty members also in the line.
Yeah, if you all unmute it, and then if you have any question, because they may have trouble on unmuting it, so. Okay. Anybody's having a question? Okay.
Participants, if you do not have any queries, or if you have any specific queries, you can mail to the resource person. Sir has given his mail ID also. So if you have any queries, you can mail him also. He'll respond to the queries. Sir, if there are no questions, can we move on to the next session? Out of thanks. And,
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the informative session, sir. Actually, the students are not they are not having much information regarding this web services and all, sir, because they are from EC background. I think this session will give much information regarding the web services, how to use the remote desktops and all. They might have get some insights, sir. thank you very much for the informative session, sir. We have a few instructions to the participants. Dear participants, we will be posting the feedback link in the chat box. Please fill the feedback in order to get your e-certificates. Now I request our colleague engineer Alvin Rajiv sir, AP of ECE, to give the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Oh, yes. Thanks to Almighty. I, Alvin Raju, first of all, I extend my most sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making today's event resounding success. With His blessing and grace, we are able to make this event what it was. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the Department of ECE, extend a hearty thanks to the resource person of this webinar, Mr. J. Tirupati Rajan from USA. I also wish to express my gratitude of our principal, Dr. Anandachari, for providing encouragement and support. I am very grateful to Dr. Suresh Babu for giving us an opportunity to organize this event. No program can become successful with a single person. So I extend my big thanks to all the members of EC department, especially Mr. Ramesh sir for his special support. Any event cannot be successful without the participant. Finally, I thank all the participants for their active participation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Tirupati Rajan, thanks to you.
Oh, thank you. Giving me an opportunity to share whatever
Thank you. So on behalf of our management and Department of EC, my sincere thanks to you because you are a very busy person. So from your busy schedule, you allocated because it's at least short time we fixed this one. So you came and explained well because now the students having a first-hand information about the cloud platform, how to utilize, how to organize, and how to manage. So a lot of information they know that. So my sincere thanks to you. I also got a lot of information, new information. My fellow faculty members also enjoying this. So thanks, Tirupati Rajan. We expect many more sessions like this.
Sure. Anytime. So if you need any topics or anything, so just let me know. We can arrange some kind of like workshop or demo or whatever that we want to do. I'm really enjoyed this session also, so I can explain or express my the knowledge what I have gained from my work. Thank you for giving me opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
dear participants, our Chief Guest Tirupati Rajan is from Virudunagar. Last time he came to our college and it's a direct interactive session with our computer science and engineering department students. Madam Indra Devi Madam organized that seminar, and this pandemic period also he gave one session to our computer science students in webinar. Now he organized this is a chief guest for our webinar. So the resource person is very nice and easily accessible. So kindly give your feedback, suggestion, or you want any more clarity in other topics, any technical topics, please kindly inform to us. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Ramesh sir, the announce பண்ணிருங்க எப்பக்குள்ள அவங்க முடிக்கணும்னு feedback.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.